Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to another video. Yes, I have Dutch brothers. Y'all, Dutch brothers hits, okay? It does. So, this morning, I was studying John chapter 5. And as I was reading it, like towards the end, I was like, this reminds me of a video that I had seen last night. And I will add a clip at the end of the video that kind of goes along with what I'm about to get into. So, Yahusha had this whole monologue, right? Because he had healed a man on the Sabbath, told the man to take up his mat and go. And of course, you got the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the legalistic people, okay, telling this man, you're not supposed to pick up your bed on the Sabbath. Who told you to do this? Completely ignoring the fact that this man had a sickness for 38 years, right? Now, I don't know if he was 38 years old so that he had the sickness since birth or that he had a sickness somewhere in his lifetime and he had it for 38 years. I don't know. But y'all, this man has had a sickness for 38 years. Y'all just going to completely ignore that fact that he was healed. But y'all mad because he took up his mat and walked. And so it makes me question, what exactly do people think that you are or aren't supposed to do on Shabbat? Because here's the thing, in the Torah, when Yahuwah is giving, the feast days, he mentions Shabbat, but he doesn't necessarily give detail of what can and can't be done. We do know that you cannot cook, right? And that you can do no servile work. We know this. But as far as like picking something up off the floor, or like, I don't know, making your bed, is that something you're not supposed to do? It makes me wonder, like, what is it that we can do and what can we not do? Because you have the ish people, right? The synagogue of Satan, the ones who say that they're Jews and are not. They go so far as you can't even turn on a light. Like I have this light on right now. You can't even turn on a light on Shabbat. And I'm just like, that seems excessive. I don't know if they're taking the part in the Torah where it says, "Do not kindle a fire." I took that as to mean, and most Hebrew people took that as to mean that you cannot cook, because Yahweh specifically says on the sixth day, prepare for food for today and store up food for tomorrow. So you're making a double portion of food for Friday and Saturday because you cannot cook. So I don't think that whole, not kindling a fire means to not turn lights on. Because that would lead me to believe, well, can you not flush the toilet? Because the bathrooms, my bathroom does not have a window, right? And now, granted, I do have like a night light plugged in for when, we go to the bathroom at night. The light is in there, so you don't have to turn the light on. So if that's not on, then how am I going to use the bathroom if I can't see nothing in the middle of the night, if I can't turn the light on, right? Like things that things that don't make sense, okay? But my point is, they're upset that this man picked up his mat. This man was healed, right? He's at this pool where it says a messenger comes into the water, stirs the water, and whoever gets in first is healed. But he can never get in. And I'm assuming that he's a paralytic because Yosha says, well, it says, and immediately the man became well and took up his bed and was walking, right? So I'm assuming that he could not walk before. But I'm like, this man is healed. Forget that you picked up the bed. You're walking. You're walking, right? And so we're going to get into, I'm going to read not all of chapter 5, but all of what Yahusha says. And I do have some comments. So let's start with, so down verses 10 through 14, it says the Yahudim asked him, who did this? But the man did not know because Yahusha had already left, because a crowd was coming into that area because they saw the man walking, right? And afterward, Yahusha found the man and said, see, you have been made well, sin no more, so that no worse matter befalls you. So we're going to start at verse 16. And because of this, the Yahudim persecuted Yahusha and were seeking to kill him because he was doing these healings on the Sabbath. Now, let's pause. So y'all are upset because he's healing people on the Sabbath. I'm still stuck on the healing people part because ain't nobody else doing that. No one else is doing that. He's doing it, right? But Elisha answered them, my father works until now, and I work. Because of this, then, the Yahudim were seeking all the more to kill him, because not only was he breaking the Sabbath, but he also called Elohim his own father, making himself equal with Elohim. So the part where it says that they were upset that he was breaking the Sabbath, my thing is like, did they have a set of like rules that Yahuwah gave them that says this is what you can do on the Sabbath, this is what you can't do? Because in the Torah, it doesn't mention anything about you can't heal people on the Sabbath. So I'm wondering if there was more detail that is not in the Bible, right? More detail that we don't have. And so, and then the second part, that he was making himself equal with Elohim because he called Elohim his own father. So my thing is, did they not, attribute Elohim to being the father, the heavenly father? Did they not see him as that? Or is that something that was more so, talked about or mentioned during this time and not in times past? I don't know. Therefore, Yahusha responded and said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, the Son is able to do none at all by himself, but only that which he sees the Father doing, because whatever he does, the Son also likewise does. Now, he's talking about himself, but he's also talking about like children. Children mimic what their parents do. What they see their parents do, they also do the same. So he's saying, what I see my father do, what he does, I do what he does, which y'all should be doing what he does because it's the word. It's the same, right? For the Father loves the Son and shows him all that he himself does. Isn't that what we do as parents? We love our children, so we show them what we do and how they should do in turn, right? And greater works than these he is going to show him in order that you marvel. So, greater works than what he just did by healing this man. He's going to do greater works than that so that they will marvel and they will know that he is the son of Yahuwah. But do they believe that? No. We know, as you go on and read, through the Gospels, the Pharisees and Sadducees did not change. They did not change. Their hearts were so hardened, like black ice, cemented, rock solid. That's how hard their hearts were. For as the Father raises the dead and makes alive, even so the Son makes alive whom he wishes. For the Father judges no one, but has given all the judgment to the Son. Right? So come judgment day, Yahushua will be the one judging. And all should value the Son even as they value the Father. He who does not value the Son does not value the Father who sent him. So not just talking about value Yahusha, but also valuing the Word, because Yahusha is the Word. He does everything that was talked about in the Word, right? He is the Word in the flesh. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who hears my word and believes in him who sent me possesses everlasting life and does not come into judgment, but has passed from death into life. Truly, truly, I say to you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of Elohim, and those having heard shall live. For as the Father possesses life in himself, so he gave also to the Son to possess life in him. And he has given him authority also to do judgment, because he is the Son of Man. Do not marvel at this, because the hour is coming which all those in the tombs shall hear his voice, and shall come forth, those who have done good to the resurrection of life, and those who have practiced evil matters to a resurrection of judgment. Proof that nobody goes to heaven. If you're dead, you die, you're just dead, right? You're resurrected either into life, everlasting life in the kingdom, on earth, right? Or you are resurrected into the pit, judgment, right? The lake of fire. Of myself, I am unable to do any matter, right? He can't just do anything that he wants to. No, he has to do what the Father has said. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is righteous, because I do not seek my own desire, but the desire of the Father who sent me. Now, this comes into play when people are judging other people, and they're judging them based off of their own desire, their carnal desire, but not judging them based off of the Spirit and what the Word says, right? That's what Yahusha is saying. If I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true. There is another who bears witness of me, and I know that the witness which he witnesses of me is true. Talking about Yohanan the Immerser, or John the Baptist. You have sent to Yohanan, and he bore witness to the truth. So this goes back to John chapter 1. We'll get there in a minute. But I do not receive witness from man, but I say this in order that you might be saved. He was the burning and shining lamp, and for a while you wished to rejoice in his light. But I have a greater witness than that of Yohanan. For the works that the Father gave me to accomplish, the works that I do, bear witness of me that the Father has sent me. Right? And we're going to put our pin there and flip over to John chapter 1, starting at verse 18. No one has ever seen Elohim, the only brought forth Son who was in the bosom of the Father, he did declare. So if no one has ever seen Elohim, no one has ever gone to heaven. Okay, just putting that in there. Now, this was the witness of Yohanan when the Yahudim sent from Jerusalem priests and Levites to ask him, "Who are you?" And he confessed and did not deny, but confessed, "I am not the Messiah," because he wasn't. And they asked him, "What then? Are you Eliyahu, Elijah?" So he said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" And he answered, "No." Therefore they said to him, "Who are you? So that we give an answer to those who sent us." The Pharisees and Sadducees sent them. "What do you say about yourself?" He said, "I am a voice of one crying in the wilderness, make straight the way of Yahuwah." As the prophet Yeshayahu, Isaiah, said, and those sent were of the Pharisees. And they asked him, saying, "Why then do you immerse if you are not the Messiah, nor Eliyahu, nor the prophet?" And my thing is, what scriptures have y'all been reading that y'all don't know that who he is and what he's doing and why he's doing it, right? Yohanan answered them, saying, "I immerse in water, but in your midst stands one whom you do not know, the one coming after me, who has become before me, whose sandal strap I am not worthy to loosen." Right? He's telling them who he's not, but also telling them who he is. Right? And they're like, "You have to be one of these people that we have read in the scriptures." But he's not. Yes, he had the spirit of Elijah, right? We know that. But he was not Elijah. He was the one who was talked about in Isaiah, right? Isaiah chapter 40, verse 3. That's who he is. He was talked about. And the thing is, like, these people are so legalistic. They are so um they just know scripture front and back, but the thing is, they don't believe it. Right? They're so legalistic, but they don't actually believe what they're reading. Doesn't that still ring true today though? Let's go back to chapter 5. "And the Father who sent me, he bore witness of me. You have neither heard his voice at any time nor seen his form. Therefore, he didn't send you." He did not send you. He didn't, if you did not hear his voice, he did not send you. So who sent you? Right? "And you do not have his word staying in you, because you do not believe in him who he sent." So since they don't believe in Yahusha, who is the word, who was talked about all through the Old Testament, from Genesis to the last book of the Old Testament, right? He was talking about the whole time. And they're standing here with him in their face, and they're not believing who he is. No matter all the miracles and all the prophecies that came true throughout Yahushua's lifetime, throughout his ministry, they did not believe him. You search the scriptures because you think you possess everlasting life in them. And these are the ones that bear witness of me. Right? You search the scriptures because you think you possess everlasting life. But the scriptures point to Yahushua, but you don't believe him. You don't believe in him. But you do not desire to come to me in order to possess life. I do not receive esteem from men, but I know you that you do not have the love of Elohim in you. Like that has to be, I don't even know. That's wild to tell somebody that you do not have the love of Elohim in you. But the thing is, a lot of people think that they do, and they wholeheartedly believe that they do, but they don't. I have come in my Father's name, and you do not receive me. If another comes in his own name, him you would receive. Just like people nowadays receive these pastors and these social media prophets and the Antichrist who's coming. How are you able to believe when you are receiving esteem from one another, likes, comments, views, subscriptions, follows? Sound familiar? And the esteem that is from the only Elohim you do not seek. The thing is, people are seeking validation from other people. What is that going to get you? That's not going to get you everlasting life. You're supposed to be seeking the esteem of the Father, not other flesh, right? But the thing is, people seek the esteem, like these pastors, of the people that they're supposed to be leading or shepherding, but they're not. Do not think that I shall accuse you to the Father. There is one who accuses you, Moses, in whom you have set your expectation, right? For if you believed Moshe, you would have believed me, since he wrote about me. But if you do not believe his writings, how shall you believe my words? They search the scriptures, but they don't believe the scriptures. And that is why they didn't believe Yahushua when he came. He was there in flesh and blood, the one who was written about in the scriptures. But the problem is, they had this expectation of what Yahushua would look like, that he would be somebody from a rich family, he would be prominent in society and things like that. But in Isaiah, it specifically says that he was comely, he was ordinary. There was nothing special about the way that he looked, specifically so that they would not revere and worship him. But don't people worship Jesus today? Still ended up being worshiped. Still ended up being worshiped. The Father created Yahushua in a way that he would not stand out from other people, so that they would not worship him, but they still end up worshiping Jesus. Yeah. And it's like, I was telling a friend of mine that, the Bible speaks through all generations. It speaks from the time that it was written all the way up to now. It's no different. It is no different, right? It speaks to today's time, because this is what we're currently living through. People who are exalting themselves, people who come in their own name. In this clip I'm going to put at the end of this video, I just want y'all to just listen. Just listen. Just listen to the words that are coming out of his mouth. Yeah. But that's all I have for y'all. I'm going to enjoy my coffee, and I'm going to get to work.
Is know the scriptures for yourself. Be underneath sound biblical teachers. Be invested in biblical community. Have a strong prayer life, because the less truth you know, the easier it is for you to be led astray. If you don't have a prayer life, you won't have discernment. And you'll be led astray by voices that appear to be godly because of language that is godly, but you'll be led astray because you cannot discern that God did not send that person. Right? So one of the greatest things you and I can do to protect ourselves as we get closer to these end times, watch, is have knowledge of the scriptures for yourself. Read the Bible for yourself. Stop believing everything everybody says. Stop believing everything I say. Man, go home and read behind me. Read behind me. Read behind me. Okay. Daniel, the prophet, in Daniel chapter 9 and verse 27, he prophesies about that time. In Daniel chapter 9 and verse 27, he talks about the Antichrist thousands of years before he is born. He says, and he, the Antichrist, shall make a strong covenant with many people for 1 week. That is 7 years. This is called the prophecy of Daniel's 70th week. So Daniel prophesies about this 7-year period called the tribulation period. Listen to me, that I believe we are in the final hours of the church age, and what is coming next behind that is the tribulation period. I believe we do not have all this time left before the beginning of the tribulation period. You said, but Philip, if all of that is happening during the tribulation, why is this important to us? You know why it's important to you? Because there is an event spoken of by the Apostle Paul in 2 Thessalonians where he says, I don't want you to be ignorant. But the Lord will descend with the voice of a trumpet. The dead will rise to meet him in the air, and those of us who are alive will be, watch his words, caught up.
I just want to interject here because he's talking about, being caught up and everything like that. But what he's saying in 1 Thessalonians, not 2 Thessalonians, is what happens after the tribulation, right? And I saw a messenger coming down from the heaven, having the key to the pit of the deep and a great chain in his hand. And he seized the dragon, the serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years, and threw him into the pit of the deep, and shut him up, and set a seal on him, so that he should lead the nations no more astray until the 1,000 years were ended. And after that, he has to be released for a little while. And I saw thrones, and they sat on them, and judgment was given to them, and the lives of those who had been beheaded because of the witness they bore to Yahusha, and because of the word of Elohim, right? This is the dead who were in Yahusha, who were risen first, and who did not worship the beast, nor his image, and did not receive his mark upon their foreheads or upon their hands, and they lived and reigned with Messiah for 1,000 years. And the rest of the dead did not come to life until 1,000 years were ended. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and set apart is the one having part in the first resurrection. The second death possesses no authority over these, but they shall be priests of Elohim and of Messiah, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. And when the 1,000 years have ended, Satan shall be released from his prison, and they shall go out to lead the nations astray, which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together for battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea. Now, mind you, nobody is in heaven at this point. Those reigning with Yahusha for 1,000 years are going to reign with him on earth, not in heaven. Not once did it say that they would be going to heaven. And they came up over the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of the set apart ones and the beloved city. And fire came down from Elohim out of the heaven and consumed them. And the devil who led them astray was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet are. And they shall be tortured day and night forever and ever. Now, mind you, nobody's in the lake of fire at this point, right? Well, just the beast and the false prophet from earlier in Revelation. No human is in the lake of fire at this point. And I saw a great white throne, and him who was sitting on it, from whose face the earth and heaven fled away, and no place was found for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, standing before the throne, and books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. Again, on the earth, right? And the dead were judged from what was written in the books according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and Sheol gave up the dead who were in them. And they were judged, each one according to his works. And death and Sheol were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And if anyone was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. Now, in 1 Thessalonians, let's go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, because that's exactly where he got that from. I don't know where he got 2 Thessalonians, right? Now, brothers, we do not wish you to be ignorant concerning those who have fallen asleep, lest you be sad as others who have no expectation. This is the verse he was quoting. And as you can see, I went to 1 Thessalonians, not 2 Thessalonians. For if we believe that Yahusha died and rose again, so also Elohim shall bring with him those who sleep in Yahusha. For this we say to you by the word of the Master, that we, the living, who are left over at the coming of the Master, shall in no way go before those who are asleep, go before those who are dead, right? No, they're going to rise first and stand before Yahusha before those who are still living do, right? No, it does not say go to heaven. Because the Master himself shall come down from heaven with a shout, with the voice of a chief messenger, and with the trumpet of Elohim, and the dead shall rise, and Messiah will rise first. Then we, the living, who are left over, shall be caught away together with them in the clouds to meet the Master in the air, and so we shall always be with the Master. Nowhere in here does it say heaven. Nobody is going to heaven. Nobody is being raptured. And all of this happens after what I read to you in Revelation, after the Great Tribulation. Nobody is going to escape the Great Tribulation unless you are already dead before it happens. So then encourage one another with these words. I'm not sure where they're getting all this information from, because it does not make sense to me. They're inserting things into scripture that are not there. But a lot of what they're inserting comes from the Left Behind series. That is not scripture. It is things that this man made up in this series of books that he wrote and then turned into movies. And now this is what we have.
The next event of God's prophetic calendar is the rapture of the church, when all living believers on earth will be suddenly snatched away from this earth into heaven in the twinkling of an eye.